The saxifrage blooms in violent purple clusters, bright against the gray tundra.
They wave in the breeze, offering their sweetness to a giant that should be here. We wait for the trunk to reach down, but the air remains empty. There is no snap of breaking willow branches. This vast tundra remains untouched by time.
This is the sound of a world that has lost its king.
To understand this tragedy, we must look at the clock.
Far to the south, human hands are dragging limestone blocks across the sand.
The Great Pyramids of Giza are rising toward the sun.
History has begun, yet the Ice Age refuses to end.
While pharaohs claim their thrones, the Woolly Mammoth is still breathing.
On the mainland, the forests have marched north, swallowing the grasslands.
Human hunters have turned the giants into myths, driving them into the abyss.
But here, on Wrangel Island, time has frozen solid.
Surrounded by the freezing gray walls of the Arctic Ocean.
This island remains a perfect mammoth steppe, a sanctuary of dry grass and cold wind. It was a fortress designed to protect them from the changing earth.
But as the sea levels rose, the land bridge dissolved into the waves.
Standing against the gale, the woolly mammoth of Wrangel Island endures the harsh, windswept coast.
Meet the last patriarch of a dying dynasty.
He walks alone, his shadow stretching long across the frost-heaved ground.
He carries the weight of a legacy that has nowhere left to go.
The willow thickets have been stripped bare, leaving only splintered wood.
There are no predators here, only the silence. But the enemy is already inside him, woven into his very blood.
The sanctuary became a prison.
He is smaller than his ancestors, his stature diminished by centuries of isolation. His tusks are curved and worn, chipped from digging through layers of ice.
Generations of inbreeding have unraveled the genetic code that made them titans.
Winter on the island is a cruel and endless night.
He grinds his teeth against the bark of a dead tree, swallowing dust.
He pauses, lifting his trunk to test the freezing air.
He is searching for the scent of a female, a signal of life. But the wind brings only the smell of salt and ice.
The meltwater creek is swollen, tearing at the muddy banks.
He steps forward, but the permafrost betrays him.
He collapses, the cold mud gripping his flunk like quicksand.
There is no roar of defiance. No battle.
He simply rests his head against the bank, too weak to rise.
The vibrant purple saxifrage flowers are inches from his eye. The garden he tended for a lifetime is now his grave.
The warmth fades from his massive body, escaping into the Arctic air.
The sun rises over the island, indifferent to the loss.
His bones will sink into the earth, preserved by the permafrost.
They were the ghosts walking among us, long after their time.
While we built empires, they fought their final, silent war against extinction.
Their DNA tells the story of a population that slowly faded away.
Not conquered by spears, but erased by time itself.
Return to the patch of purple flowers, blooming in the sun.
They grow wild and tall, with no one left to keep them in check.
The landscape remembers them, even if the world has moved on. If a giant falls in a world where no one is listening, does it leave a silence, or does it simply disappear?